1000, lepas tu followed by 12 of April sampai 12. Untuk yang ni pula, you cannot take 12 of April sampai 13. Why? Because by 13, you notice that untuk setiap satu ni, that's why kita ambil 15 March sampai 24 saja. Because 24 ni tak ada transaction berlaku. Transaction hanya berlaku pada 25th. So here, 24th, dia tak ada choice lain but to make it up to 24 juga. So only one day saja. Why? Because on 13th of April, yang apa ni di sini yang 12 ni dia 300, tapi 13 ni dia terus pergi kepada 14th of April. Dia tak boleh, 13 ni dia tak boleh maintain at 13 alone. Dia mesti terus pergi kepada closing date dia. Okay, so selalunya the tricky part dalam soalan adalah opening, closing. Sebab closing ni dia akan bagi macam-macam lah to confuse you. So that's why yang macam ni, dia ambil 12, okay, RM300. Tetapi pada 13 of April, we have another purchase of DT, prepaid, RM450. Tetapi 13 we don't start at 13 sebab dia kata closing date adalah pada 14. So yang ni, still to this, yang terlibat. Okay, so here, this 3,000 is known as ending balance. 3,000 is our ending balance. Okay, now kita pergi kepada calculating. Dan kita, once we are done with our preliminary calculation, now we try to answer the question. So we start our calculation with finding our ADB ataupun average daily balance dulu. But why do we find the average daily balance? Simply because we are using this average daily balance method. Okay, if you use other method, you don't have to find ADB. You terus pergi kepada finding the interest charge. So here, since we are using average daily balance method, so we have to find the average daily balance lah. So here is aggregate balance divided by number of days in the month. Or we take our 85,210 divided by 31. So we got 2748.71 cents, which means that on average, the amount owed by the credit card company is amounting to RM2,748.71 every day. And it's very expensive now. Okay, next, after you already got your ADB, you can calculate the total interest charge. Total interest charge is equivalent to monthly interest rate times by the ADB. Total interest charge ni. So 18% divided by 12. Okay, so nampak tak total interest charge ni, saya divide by 12 and then darab dengan 274,871 ataupun dapat RM41.23 and then outstanding balance equivalent to ending balance that you get it at 3,000 yang saya tunjuk di mana nak carinya, plus the interest is RM41.23 ataupun you dapat the outstanding balance is RM3,041.23. Maknanya in that particular month, the amount that you have to pay is actually at RM3,041.23. So if you can't pay in full, you want to pay at minimum payment, then you do your calculation, which is equivalent to outstanding balance times 5%. Okay, so to calculate the minimum payment, kita just take outstanding balance darab dengan 5% or RM152.06, which means that by right, for this transaction, for this month's transaction, amount that you have to pay stands at RM3,041.23. However, if you can't pay all this in total, then you can pay at minimum payment, iaitu pada RM152.06. Okay, so itu kita punya minimum payment, and then kita nak tengok pula balance after minimum payment. So maknanya kita jelaskan RM152.06, berapa lagi balance that we can carry forward. Okay, so kita ambil lah, tolak je lah from the original 3041.23 ni, tolak RM152.06. So balance carry forward is okay, so ini adalah dia punya amount, dan ini adalah average daily balance excluding current purchases. Kalau excluding current purchases, kalau including current purchases, you take all the purchases that happen in that in that credit card statement. Okay, you nampaklah purchases kan, made, payment made Tapi kalau excluding current purchases, apa yang you buat ialah you take opening date, you terus pergi kepada payment date. Tetapi in this case definitely lah you have to take one day earlier lah, sebab payment hanya berlaku pada 8 April 4 sahaja, sebanyak RM1,000. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do ialah finding the original the amount that kakak ni sekejapnya, mana dah kakak ni, no, hanya 15 months sampai 7, because on the 8 tu is RM1,000 payment. Okay, so on the 8 tu you ambil, you terus pergi kepada closing date dia. Okay, so maknanya you ada hanya 2 transaction saja. Pertama opening dia, and then yang kedua ialah untuk closing dia. So you take from the payment up to the closing date, which is 7 day. Atas ni 24 day. And then you buat macam biasa lah. And if you do correctly, again number of days involved ni macam dalam number of days in a month. And then from here, what's important is here. If you wrong pun adalah ramai because you wrong it here. Okay, so ini adalah untuk average daily balance excluding current purchases. Now kita juga ada previous balance method. Untuk previous balance method, nampak tak saya kata tadi, you hanya mencari average daily balance if you use the average daily balance method. But if you use the previous balance method, you don't calculate the ADB. You terus pergi calculating the interest. From interest tu, you akan dapat the rest of it. Tapi the interest here is when you take the monthly interest rate 1.5% times the beginning balance, which is at 2,300, or you get interest betul lah, you take monthly interest darab dengan beginning balance, ataupun 1.5% darab dengan 2,300, you get RM34.50. But untuk adjusted balance method, you find interest juga, which equivalent to monthly interest rate 1.5% times kalau you tengok di sini adjusted balance method ni, interest sama juga monthly interest rate darab dengan beginning balance minus payment minus return. Itu maksud adjusted Dia adjust the beginning balance ni kepada any payments made in the month ataupun any returns. Payments ni macam saya kata tadi lah, payments to the credit card company. In this case we have RM1,000, but we don't have any returns dalam case ni. Tapi nak share dengan you return, maksud return ni adalah any product that you buy online, for example, and then you return it back to the seller just because satu, you found that the item is not up to your expectation, and then you ask for refund. And then yang kedua, because the item is of, there are defects on the item, ada pecah sikit ke, so you perasan, so you nak hantar balik. Okay, so in this both cases, baru you boleh tolak daripada beginning balance. Returns ni tak masuk return airline ticket, for example, bought return airline ticket. Masuk bought return airline ticket is referring to ticket that you buy back and forth. You pergi dan you balik. Itu masuk return di situ. Bukan itu maksud saya. Maksud saya return di sini adalah bila you hantar balik kereta kepada yang empunya dalam keadaan yang bersih dan elok. Okay. So this one we can do get rid. Now kita tengok satu lagi item yang juga masuk bawah open account credit, iaitu overdraft. Overdraft is a formal arrangement with a bank which allows an account holder to draw on funds. Okay, normally overdraft is only used by business people, because normally to open current account, and to make use of overdraft, you have to open the current account, and also current account can only be opened to an individual if you have a lot of money. You say let's say lah you nak masuk dalam account tu sebanyak 10,000 dalam current account tu. Okay, so you got the facility yang dipanggil sebagai overdraft facility, whereby you can actually use the money whenever you need it. That's why it's not encouraged for individual. Kalau you banyak duit, you buka account, current account, you akan dapat facility ni juga, because this is a facility given by the bank to the customer. Cuma kata orang tu, if you use the overdraft facility untuk saja-saja sebab you nak beli barang you lah, for example lah, apa-apalah, nak beli tudung, nak beli makeup ke, then you have to know that overdraft is a line of credit given to the customer where the customer pays interest on the used portion and commitment fee on the unused portion. Maknanya you cannot simply use over. Yang penting ialah yang kena tahu, it's not necessary for individual to use overdraft, because overdraft ni dia ada dua charges yang dikenakan. Satu adalah interest on the used portion. Contohnya, let's say lah, if I ask for overdraft facility, let's say lah saya ada current account, so saya ask for 40,000 overdraft from the bank. So bank akan bagi kepada saya sebab saya adalah current account customer. But I have to know when I get the 40,000 ringgit, that 40,000 ringgit I have to use all of it. Sebabnya saya akan dikenakan interest on the used amount. But if I only use 35,000 ringgit, for example, there is another 5,000 ringgit that I don't want to use because it's not necessary for me to use, but I still have to pay what is known as commitment fee on the unused portion. So that's why overdraft facility ni hanya diguna pakai oleh business people. Because this is a way to make their working capital more flexible. Because they need money. They need money for what? They need money to pay their staff salary. They need money to pay for their utilities, water bill, electricity bill. They need money to pay for their rental, payment when it's due. So normally orang yang guna overdraft facility ni, because they found that their money is very tight. They are waiting for business to be okay. Let's say the business is quite down. So they definitely they don't have any money, ataupun their money is tied up with their customer. So while waiting for the customer to pay, they don't have any money. Yeah, but yet they have to pay their staff salary, apa ni, utilities pun kena bayar. Yang tu still kena bayar. So apa ni, they can only get the money right away from overdraft. Walaupun mahal, they still normally will use the facility given by the bank. Okay, so alright. Okay, the other one is charge card. Okay, so what is charge card? Charge card is definitely different from credit card. Card yang saya ada adalah credit card. I don't have charge card. I used to have once charge card. I have American Express. But saya pun tak tahu macam mana saya dapat card tu. Because if credit card they have limit, a line of credit imposed on the card, you hanya boleh guna sampai 8,000 saja, for example. But charge card on the other hand, there is no limit on the amount that you can use to make any purchases. Dia tak ada line of credit. When you get your American Express, for example, you can buy a car, you can buy a house. There is no limit on your purchases. But you have to pay in full and by a due date. Yelah, itu dikatakan sebagai charge card kan. So maknanya charge card ni, you have to pay in full, and also by the due date, or else you'll be subject to severe late fees and restriction on card use. Maknanya you tak boleh guna lagi card tu sampai you habis bayar semua. And it's quite troublesome lah. And yang paling penting ialah you will be subjected to severe late fees. So you still kena bayar lah juga untuk fee, sebab you tak nak bayar earlier. Okay, so that is charge card. Okay, we have sample of Diners Club punya credit card. Okay, so we are done with credit card ataupun open account credit. Tetapi now kita pergi kepada close-ended credit. Okay, close-ended credit ni adalah loan. Loan that we obtain for specific purpose. That is to pay, that you need to pay in a specified period of time and in payments of equal amount. Okay, so means that you get your loan untuk close-ended credit ni, kalau tadi saya kata ini adalah loan, dan di sini you kena tahu kalau loan maknanya we are dealing with macam ni dia kata payments of equal amount. Payments of equal amount ni adalah kalau you still remember dalam time value kita refer kepada annuity. So dia penting, so it shows that annuity is practically used dalam loan. Sebabnya bila kita make personal loan ataupun car loan, education loan ataupun housing loan, semua kena bayar balik sebab ini adalah loan. So berapa banyak kita perlu bayar balik? Kita ada several types of loan. Kita ada personal loan semua ni. Dan dalam dalam close-ended credit juga, ni kita ada finance charges of loan. Kalau kita guna single payment loan, Okay, kalau charges on loan ni, ya kita ada bagi kepada dua. Kita ada single payment loan dan juga installment loan. Okay, so maknanya untuk single payment loan maknanya kita make loan and then kita terus bayar. Sama ada kita bayar beginning of the loan ataupun kita bayar end of the loan. Normally when we make loan, kita akan bayar end of the loan. Ya, that goes under simple interest method. Tetapi kalau kita bayar beginning of the loan before we actually get the loan amount, this is known as discount method. Yeah, and untuk finance charges, bawah installment pula kita ada several lah. Kita ada simple interest method ataupun discount method ataupun add-on method ataupun dipanggil juga sebagai flat basis. Okay, saya akan tunjuknya calculation you pada single payment loan saja. Untuk installment loan ni, you mungkin nak tengok untuk in simple interest method sajalah kot. Tapi you have to know the definition of all this. All this memang saya rasa kena tahu. Saya rasa ada tak dalam nota, saya tak sure. Saya rasa macam tak ada dalam nota. Tapi yang untuk single payment, yang ni adalah, yang lain tu ada, tapi cuma ni saya tak fokus. Okay, so yang ni you mungkin nak do the calculation, try to get the answer as given in the in the notes given to you. Okay, close. Mana ni? Okay, now single payment loan where interest is paid at the end of the loan. Once, at the end of the loan menggunakan simple interest method. Ini adalah paling basic. As finance student, ini yang you kena tahu. Ataupun bukan finance student, sorry. As business student, ini yang you kena tahu lama dulu dah. Di mana kalau you make loan, for example, for 6 months, 3,000, 6 months at 40% per annum. So you want to know how much you need to pay at the end of the loan period, iaitu after 6 months. So apa yang you perlu buat ialah mula-mula cari interest lah dulu. Interest tu bercari menggunakan P times R, rate times N. Iaitu interest. Interest amount. Okay, so you dah dapat ni iaitu RM210. Now you calculate balik prinsip, you nak dapat balik payment. Berapa banyak you kena bayar, you masukkan balik principal amount iaitu 3,000 plus